So it's finally dead, and that, of course, I'm talking about is my old Switch. Now, this was an interesting thing that happened. I'll at least tell you what happened and then kind of tell you where I'm going from here. But the Switch here seems to have died from a third-party dock, specifically the Nyko dock is what seems to have fried it or killed it or did something to it. Essentially, this is not booting correctly anymore. It seems to be stuck in a boot loop. And I've tried a lot of things to fix it, and it's not coming back, at least with what I know or have right now. So what happened was I was working down here and everything, and I was like, you know what, I'll go upstairs. I have that Nyko dock still plugged in. I hadn't had any issues when I was testing it or anything. I'll plug it in, and I'll play up there for an hour or so. And I did that. I went upstairs, I plugged this guy, right into the Nyko dock. Not really afraid to do it anymore since, it's dead. Plugged it right in. And once I did that, it was fine. I played it for about an hour, I think. There's a game that I still need to go back through on my new Switch because, I'll save that, it's gone. But I have to go back through it because I'm supposed to be putting an impressions video out, I think next week for it. I think it's next week. And so at that point, it was fine. And I'm not even thinking about it. I leave it on the dock. And I had just updated to 5.0 because I remember I took a screenshot of the Xenoblade controller to show the different colors on the handles that they changed, so you can update and, if you get like a blue controller with the handles, it will be blue at the point. Small thing, right? But I remember I took a screenshot of that and I turned it off and I start working on, in this case, Newsway for the next day. And then I remember going back and the next day, the Switch is dead. A lot of times you'll hit the home button on your Joy-Con controller or your Pro controller or something like that. I press it, nothing's happening. And I'm like, that's weird. I just left it on there last night. So I take it off, I press and hold the button down, and it's completely dead. It basically hits the Nintendo logo, and then it goes to a dead battery symbol in the top left. Now, if your Switch is completely dead and it won't turn on, that's what'll happen. You'll go to power it on, and then it'll give you like a little red battery at the top that's like it's dead completely. Okay, I'll go plug it in. Maybe the Nyko dock was acting up, maybe it wasn't quite on there or something. I'll just go plug it in. Plug it in, nothing. It is not receiving a charge. It's doing nothing at this point. Great. So at that point, I'd start taking it apart. And when I take it apart, I check it out. Everything seems fine. That's the weirdest part about this whole situation. It seems fine. I start checking, I use a multimeter, I check voltages and everything. Power is getting to the battery, but it's not actually charging. All right, well, that's weird. So my thought right away was, well, I got to go buy a new Switch if this thing's not going to work. I go out. I did buy a new Switch. All right, so I get a new Switch, and listen, I was planning on getting a new Switch eventually anyway, so the hardware isn't really the annoying thing. The save data is the annoying thing, which we'll talk about soon. So I go out, I get a new Switch, nice fresh Switch. It's been turned on once. It's actually still on 4.0.1, so it kind of makes me feel bad that I'm going to update this because, the modding scene, the hacking scene is homebrewing scene, I should say, is going pretty strong right now, and this 5.0 update seems to be something that has really affected them at this point in their ability to modify these things. Anyway, it was interesting though that after I got the new Switch, I thought, hey, I'll take this one apart as well. I know, right? I'll take this one apart as well, and I will actually pull the battery out of the old one, which I did. Here's the battery. I pulled the battery. It actually has a lot of glue on the bottom, by the way. Pulled the battery, and I was like, you know what? I'll plug this in and I'll let it charge on the new Switch. It charged fine. This battery, it has no problem at all. It works. So I charge it and I charge it. And I'm like, all right, it's like halfway full, 50% full. I'll plug it into the new Switch and I'll see what happens, because maybe I can get it to turn on and then I can at least get my save data off of there and then, chalk it up to, I beat this Switch up real bad, that's the way it goes, business expense, whatever, all that stuff. So I go and I put the battery in, which I'll do now. Plug it in, and I go to power on, which it should still have some juice. It's upside down right now, great. It comes on like that, so you get the logo, and then it goes away. And what it ends up doing is just sitting at the Switch logo continuously. It never changes. So it's essentially, at this point, you can kind of see it there, it's very dim. It's just stuck in a boot loop at this point. This will never go away. It'll stay the Switch logo. I seriously left it for like 15 minutes. And it does not see the charger. It does not pop up when you plug it into a computer as a USB device. This thing is pretty much stuck. And I have a feeling something happened with the update 5.0 and the Nyko dock, because after checking this out, I noticed that other people were reporting it as well. This past week has, if you search for it, it seems almost like when it updated, everyone was having a hard time with their third-party docks really bricking their systems. So I don't know if something happened with the Nyko dock. I heard someone talk about the Insignia dock. I heard someone talk about just some random little dongle they got off of Amazon for like 20 bucks that bricked their system since that update. It seems like that update did something with the Switch to where it locks down or something when it detects these third-party docks. So if you're using a third-party dock right now and you're on 5.0, rip it off of there instantly. Do it right now. Because up until now, this Nyko dock really hadn't given me issues, but it was known for bricking systems. So it's not like, you know, I didn't know that was a possibility. So yeah, I probably shouldn't have put it on there. I didn't think about it. Keep in mind, though, these are consumer products that have passed, we assume, testing and QA and everything. So we assume that it's quality and will at least work and not damage your system. We may have assumed wrong there, though. So in this case, I put out on Twitter that this happened, and I have to give Nyko at least a bit of credit. They did reach out to me, and they said, hey, they reached out to me on Twitter, actually. They said, hey, we want to, in this case, refund for your Switch and everything. We want to replace your Switch, and any damage or anything, we want to take care of all of that. And I sent him a message back, and I said, listen, I feel like I can't do that because I am on camera seriously beating this system up. I mean, I took it completely apart day one. I bricked it on purpose that one time. I covered it in a towel to overheat it. I've done everything I could to this system and it didn't break. I think it's actually more funny that it wasn't me that destroyed this thing, right? If you think about it, it's a little funny, it's a little ironic, but they did at least try to make it right. I said, listen, I'm on camera avoiding this warranty clear as day. I don't feel completely right with you basically paying for my Switch and any damages or anything, because I don't even know how you put a price on, I guess, the amount of hours I put in a Xenoblade. That's the thing that kept me going, was Xenoblade. I don't mind playing back through Zelda because I could probably make it a different experience, but Xenoblade, 125 hours lost, that's the one that hurts. If it wasn't for Xenoblade and I never got into it or anything, I wouldn't even really care that much and go through all this to make it happen. So, at this point, they tried to reach out to me. I said, listen, I wouldn't feel good taking it, even though the series of events leads me to believe, and pretty much everyone has probably heard this story, that your Nyko dock did damage my Switch. Also, if I take money from you and have my Switch replaced, I would feel like weird making a video calling the entire situation out. So you know what? Don't worry about it. I bought a Switch. If you can get my save data off, cool. I don't think they can, though. I don't think anyone can at this point. If this doesn't boot, even Nintendo with Brian Altano had his entire system wiped. He just got a new system. And he had like 700 moons or something in the Mario's. That has to hurt. So at this point, I really can't do much. I'm going to keep this. I'm going to bin it for now, and then I'll come back to it. You can't remove this. I saw people were making suggestions and stuff, and I appreciate it, but you can't remove this chip. In fact, if you take this chip off and put it on another Switch, that Switch will not boot. It'll play dead, essentially, because these chips are signed. So I will keep this. In the off chance that somebody someday figures it out, my Xenoblade save will be there waiting for me for New Game Plus. That's kind of the way I'm looking at it. If not, maybe someday I'll have time to go back and play it and, get all the way back to where I was. It's a lot of hours lost. So, what do we learn from this? One, don't use any third-party docks. If you're going to use one, use the Nintendo dock specifically. We've kind of talked about that before anyway, but now more than ever with this 5.0 update, don't buy it. Don't buy a third-party dock. Spend the extra money. Get the Nintendo one. If it's too big, buy one of those shells on Amazon and reshell the official one because you know there won't be any issues with it because it's Nintendo's own product. So that's number one. Number two, the big thing here is Nintendo has been dragging their feet when it comes to backing up save data. There's too many games that really have, in this case, end games or just massive games in general. They've done a great job bolstering the lineup with good games that take a lot of time to play through. And I think most people right now are nervous in general about save games piling up on their system. We can't even move it to our SD card, right? We can't. It's locked to the Switch. So at this point, Nintendo needs to figure something out. I'm not even just talking about cloud saves, because I assume that is in that September update. Not talking about cloud saves. Give us the ability to back it up. You can encrypt it, do whatever you want. give us a way to back up or even image the entire system. You can do that with the PS3, you can do that with the PS4, you can do it with the Xbox One, you can back your stuff up on all of those systems. You can move save data freely on the 360, but for some reason, the Switch, it's stuck, and it's been like that for the first year. That's something that Nintendo absolutely needs to prioritize because they have not up until this point. And I think everyone should at least be asking Nintendo, when can I back my saves up? Because I have hundreds of hours into Zelda, into Xenoblade. Kirby, I'm sure, is going to take up a lot of time, right? There are a lot of games that are out now. Fire Emblem Warriors, that we cannot save. We can't back up. So what happens if I lose all this stuff on my Switch? You know, so that's what I think the big conversation needs to be now. These third-party docks, I think at this point, probably shouldn't be sold, to be completely honest, because they have been really hurt now with, in this case, the new update, the 5.0 update. I was using the official Nintendo adapter too, so it's not just the adapter. It has something to do with this dock and the Switch not playing nice at this point. So don't get a third-party adapter, save up, buy the Nintendo one, reshell it if you need a portable one. As for the current situation, yeah, I probably shouldn't have put on the Nyko dock in the first place. That's absolutely correct. And at this point, I just lost my save stuff. But I do think, again, Nintendo needs to get on this. I think a lot of people have to bug them continuously. And even if you have to wait till September, that's a long time to wait for cloud saves. I don't even really want cloud saves as much as I want local backup, some sort of method. Like I said, put on a USB stick, something. I don't care what. Just something to move our save data over and back it up. But guys, that's basically what happened. I'm on to my new Switch now. Kirby's out tomorrow, so I guess I'll be playing that. You know, someday I will go back to Xenoblade 2 when I have some more time. Maybe even here and there, I'll check it out. I was able to sign in with my Nintendo account, get my stuff back at least. My purchases online, that all kind of came back and everything, so that's great. I have to re-download everything tonight. It's going to take a while because it's, I think I had 100 gigabytes worth of stuff in terms of games on my SD card, so I'll be downloading everything again. But that's basically where we are now, guys. Don't buy a third-party dock. It doesn't matter what it is. Insignia, Nyko, don't buy any of them. Something with this new update has really accelerated the bricking that these have done to the system now. And bug Nintendo. We need something. Saves need to be backed up at this point. So that's where we are now. Too many good games on the Switch now to have this potentially lost. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments, though. Have these third-party docks been scaring you, or maybe you do have one and now you're going to rip it off of there? Let me know, guys. I'm going to keep this Nyko dock around just in case something does happen where they put a firmware update out and they say, oh yeah, if it bricked your Switch in the past, you can now unbrick it. I'm not thinking that's going to happen, but I want to keep the exact model that did brick the Switch just in case. So thanks, guys, for watching. Newswave will be up tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.